is the last hamburger buns in this entire city. We have bought them all out. We have bought out from 9 different grocery stores, and we can't keep up. There is no way to keep up, and good luck getting supply anywhere. So lucked out that I have this actually, and there's only 4 in a bag, so you can give you an idea. That's 20 more hamburgers. Now we have some supply, I think like 12 more hamburgers, but that means we can only sell 32 hamburgers. And the new chicken burgers, the extreme chicken burger, by the way. Yeah, big problems. My gosh, when it comes to supply, the nightmare I go through. Even one of them is crushed, and I was like, well, I'm buying it for the other 3. What are you gonna do? So these are the kind of things that I keep going through here in my now a month, I guess, being in business, and I'll explain a little bit about what you can expect if you want to start a business here in the Philippines. Okay, everybody, so let's talk about this. Starting a business here in the Philippines is not like starting businesses, well, anywhere else. I can't say every place, but I've started a business in Canada, known people who started, including my own family, in the United States, and I even started a business in Albania. And the process is completely different here, and there's different pitfalls and stuff like that to think about. Now, I'm going to only tell you from my experience because I don't know what it's like to start a business in like BGC or Manila, you know, that kind of thing, where logistically things are going to be probably a lot easier because there's a lot more options. But first, let's go back, rewind a little bit, and you know, what is the one reason that most people talk about businesses failing in the Philippines? And they always say it's usually tied to 2 things: family, friends, right? Family, friends. And, you know, yes, they'll be like, they had a falling out with their Filipina and the whole thing was put in her name, or a good percentage of it, that kind of thing. It has nothing to do with the business failing. That is to do with your relationship failing. Or you hire a family and they end up just stealing from you, or they take all the product or whatever, mismanage. It's very difficult in all businesses to have family or friends involved in business. It's actually a big rule that I've known since, well, early days. I learned my lesson on that, of no family, no friends, because you won't make the right decisions because you're worried about that person on a different level. And so you won't fire them when they should be fired, and you won't push them like you would push somebody else, that kind of thing. So that should be a given. But here in the Philippines, obviously, since you can only own up to 40%, technically it's up to 100%, but it's telecom. There's certain industries you're allowed to own 100%, but not all of them. And also, depending on your investment, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know if you're putting like $2.5 million into the business or something, you can actually own all of it. So there is ways to own all of your business, 100% legal, without any legal steps you have to take, that kind of thing. So, but we'll talk about, you know, small business, just like what I did here. And so, yeah, that first part there is you making the mistake of putting it all into somebody's name means that if anything happens with that person and you, so goes your business. So obviously that's your risk. Nothing to do with the business being successful or not. And people aren't wrong when they say 90% of all bars and I don't know if it's restaurants, I think 60 or 70% of all restaurants, but 90% of all bars fail. That's a given. It doesn't matter what country you're in or anything like that. It's a huge percentage that fail. Often people are putting it in an area and just trying to siphon off the business from existing business, that kind of thing. In this case, there was already a bar here, but there's obviously a ton of competition. But the good thing for me is most of them close by 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So I'm pretty much the only one, give or take, maybe there may be one further down I'm not noticing, that is even open late. So I'm the only one in this area. They have a whole bar center down behind the McDonald's, which is a few kilometers from here, where they have like live bands and stuff like that, and they have 4 or 5 bars that compete. But for the good part for me is I'm something different down at the beach. There's not a lot of that late night party stuff. But if you're trying to go into another business, and obviously you have set yourself apart from everybody else. So everybody's telling me I should have seafood, I should do everything, but this whole area is covered with people selling seafood. So we wanted to be different. You have to be different if you're going to do anything. And I want to dispel some myth there that Filipinos don't like foreigner-owned businesses. Actually, they do. They love them. They love Starbucks. They love anything new that comes into town that's got a brand name or anything that's American. They absolutely love it. my friends who have German restaurants or Danish restaurants, who else have Italian restaurants, they're all doing very, very well. It doesn't mean everybody does well. I'm just saying that it proves the point that no, that's not true. Filipinos actually really love trying out different foods and getting used to different kinds of foods. So don't be dissuaded by all the naysayers. There's always a naysayer. There's always people that are going to try to bring you down. There's always people that are going to hate on you for whatever reason. Often it's because they can't do what you're doing. Or at least they can, but they can't push themselves to do it, and so they lash out. That's my guess. Anyway, so for us here, setting it all up, I did everything on a trust system. So you set your investment up as a trust. You assign a trustee, which has to be a Filipino citizen, right? And that trustee system also has to make sure, so you need a very good lawyer, that you're not working into the dummy law system. The dummy law is like dummy corporations, right? For the purposes of buying up land and all that other stuff. So you have to be careful in all that, but that's why a good lawyer is important. If you're in the Rojas area or even going to Iloilo, I can suggest a few for you that I know are quite reputable. Even going out as far as San Joaquin, all the way down, I kind of know a lot of people down there that even if I don't know the specific one, I know the people I could ask that will give us the right person to go to. A good accountant, super important, good accountant, because so many levels here are different than in America or Canada, where there you might need your liquor license, you might need your business permit, and maybe you have to get a health inspection, that kind of thing, right? There'd be like this kind of, but here in this country, you have everything from mayor's permits to different departments all the way across, all these certificates that you need, and it's a little more complex. So getting a good accountant and a good attorney means that they're going to know everything. They're going to already be able to set you up perfectly, and then also make sure that you're following all the laws and the rules. Like, for example, here, all the receipts, the book itself that you do on there has to be already stamped by the BIR, so the Bureau of Revenue here. Each receipt book has to be stamped by them, and they can't be missing pages and all that kind of stuff. And so if you don't have a POS system that's approved by them, which you probably aren't going to do in the beginning when you're first starting off, it also changes your tax rate, by the way. Because here in the Philippines, they have certain levels. Once you get to a certain level, you're no longer a small business, and they raise your taxes. But if you start with a POS, very likely they're going to start you at the higher tax level. So don't start with it, in my opinion. That would just be my suggestion. Start off with the receipts, but if you're worried about your employees and everything else, handling the money, then POS works. So anyhow, so there's all these little things that have to be done. So good lawyer, good accountant, and what I do is with the trust system. That makes way more sense. You're not putting it in somebody else's name. What you're doing is you're signing them as a trustee. And then in the trustee agreement, it says, they have to come to you for approval to do anything, which is important, right? Now you can put written, but that will get very, very complicated. You're going to be handwriting all these permissions all the time over and over and over again. It might get a little difficult, but you can have it in there verbal. But then also have the right to assign a new trustee at any moment. So you can remove them as trustee and stem any damages or bleeding or anything like that. If there's something that has a big falling out or something, call the attorney and say, I appoint you as my trustee temporarily until I find a new trustee, something like that, and you can stem it right from there. And then they can send out the letters to the banks, to everybody that says, this is the new trustee, please remove the previous trustee. So it's a little more complicated what I'm saying, but under the Philippines law, lawyers are not allowed to legally advertise. I didn't know this. I found this out recently. And so to have them on camera, even on YouTube, it's so dangerous for them because somebody could view it as advertising for their law practice, and that's illegal here. So they all kind of like, I can't really do that. It's dangerous for me, because it looks like advertising. So if you ever need somebody that I recommend, please just message me. I will send them to you, but they're not allowed to come on camera because of that situation, that it's dancing a gray line of just being informative, or is it being advertising? I guess if I never stated who their name is or what they do, they're just, I'm a lawyer and this is what the law is, probably could get away with it, but who's going to want to come on camera if they can't say their name or anything? So anyway, just getting you a little bit of a rundown here, and we'll cut it at that. I don't want to make it too complicated. So, fine, you got all your business registered, you got everything, right? You got your location, you can lease land, no problem, that's easy. Most businesses, that's how it operates anyway. You lease the property, lease the land, lease the store, whatever. In this case, I purchased the bar and then leased the land because all this beach land here is owned by one company who leases to all these restaurants, right? So it's like any other business. You do long-term leases with them, that kind of thing. And but you own the building and you were in charge of maintaining it, that kind of thing. So I bought the bar, leased the land. It's not bad at all, actually. To give you an idea, that bar over there that just opened, and it's just this Filipino bar. It's just kind of small, but they're 25,000 pesos a month. That's what they pay. I pay a little less, but that's also because I provide more than rent to the landlords. They own all the resorts and everything. Well, I bring people to the beach, to their resort, so I'm not just rent. So I was able to negotiate a little bit, and it was just before that, so I was in a better position. So that's just to give you an idea what you got to do here. You can buy, the land, but then you're looking at a more complex situation. Now, retail business like this, you have to put the whole thing in trust. Not even allowed to own a 1%. That's not a motorbike, by the way. That's a fishing boat. I just started up. You're not even allowed to own 1% of a retail business, which is restaurants, bars, stores, all that kind of thing, unless you reach those thresholds I was talking about earlier. And so for that case, yeah, it's not a 60-40 split or anything like that. You have to do the whole thing. So I recommend doing a trust system. Put it in your Filipino wife's name. Obviously, that's quick and easy. The other one is much more complicated, much more lawyer paperwork, and everything has to be done. There has to be, you need to have power of attorneys and all that stuff. And there is a little risk. Of course, there's a little risk because they can, without your knowledge, be relinquishing their power of attorney that you have over them and that kind of thing. So, a little bit of risk. There's never no risk. But it is a little safer than just putting it 100% in somebody else's name, clearly, by far. All right, so we got past all that. So as you saw with the hamburger buns, I have a big problem, and that is supply. Back home in the West, we go to a company. That boat is really loud, isn't it? Sorry about that. You go to a company and they bring you a menu, like Cisco, Gordon Food Services, those kind of companies, and they Cara Group, and they hand you like a menu, and you open it up and there's everything. You can buy tablecloths and napkins and forks and everything, to the chicken, to the Coca-Cola. You can get everything under one company. Just go through it, negotiate your prices based on your volume, that kind of thing. And that's it. That truck shows up every Tuesday, Friday, whatever you pick, and it's half refrigerated and half dry, and freezer also in the back, and they can just deliver to you. One company, nice and easy. Your life gets so good. We're here, and it's not just me. Like, I talk to the owners of other businesses. You're often stuck just like every other common person looking to buy for their home. You have to go to the market. You have to go to all the different grocery stores. You have to find somebody for everything. Very few people will deliver. And you just gotta, that's the biggest pain in my side anyway, is to having to do this kind of stuff every day. Do you trust employees? Do you hand them money and then just say, here, go find it? Because I gotta tell you, the biggest struggle here for me at the market is just to get people to give me receipts. Because as soon as you say, I need a receipt, they're just like, no. And it's like, well, then I'm not buying from you. I need a receipt for everything I buy. Otherwise, it comes out of my own personal pocket. It is not the company's. So that can be quite difficult. But these are just fishermen or something going in and selling us fish or whatever it is. So that's a big complicated thing for me. And then just the fact that I go there and I might have to buy all their supply, go to the next store, buy all their supply, go to the next store, buy all their supply. And then tomorrow I got to hope they restock. It's so complicated, difficult. And I was saying this to another foreigner yesterday, it was actually a locals, and I said, when you hear this, to me, I don't see problem. It is a problem, but I see opportunity. That's just waiting for somebody to create a company. And that's, I think in the West, we have that entrepreneurial spirit. That's what people do. We think of that, and we look for a problem, and then we build a solution for it. And so that would be a big solution here, but I'm a little, I'm still trying to find a way to get everything resolved here, because I don't need to add more to my plate right now. I would just open like a little warehouse with a single truck and do all the dry goods first, from Coca-Cola, Pepsi, whatever, all the little mini things that you buy, then move on to refrigerated, and then freezer would be the last. and just build the company slowly until you have like 4 or 5 trucks running around town, one warehouse, and you supply almost every restaurant because they're all dealing with these same difficulties. So we'll see. It's also can be cost prohibitive in the beginning. It's a lot of investment. So I don't know. Anyway, so these are the kind of things that you have to deal with, at least in this city, and it may be less in some cities and even more harder in other places that you might want to open a nice beach bar really far into the provinces, but it's kind of touristy there. They may not have any shopping malls and no SMs or Robinsons or whatever to go get, that better meat, the meat that's been refrigerated and either frozen or refrigerated, and having the butcher do it. You might have to go to the market, and you don't know. You don't know what you're getting out of that meat, how long has it been there, how long is it going to last. You really don't know anything. So it's too risky. You want to be consistent too if you're having a restaurant. But any kind of business here, you really got to have all these ducks in a row in order to be sure that you should even open the business. Can you get everything you need to get? Because importing here is impossible. It's not impossible, but unless you're willing to pay 100% import duties and then wait who knows how long, it's not a way to run a business. So that's some of the difficulties that I'm running into here, is that whole supply thing. And unlike in the West, very few people are going to give you any credit too. So you won't be getting net 30 or net 60 days to pay. You're going to need cash, and therefore you're probably not going to take a month's supply at a time unless you really have a lot of money and want to spend a lot of money on electricity for freezers and fridges and those kind of things. So you're generally going to buy for 3 days max, and it keeps the food fresh, but also cash flow won't be a problem. Here in the Philippines, you should also keep in mind that your employees need to have a 13th month pay. So if you're from Canada or the United States, you may not even know that, but here every December they get 2 months pay, not 1 month's pay. So whatever they're getting paid, they get an additional pay on the 13th month. So you better be stocked up for December, because you're going to have twice the expense of your labor. Including that, then you also have Phil Health and SSS, but that's after they pass their probation period. Not every employer offers it, but if you want the better employees, you have to offer, the full thing. So that's like the Social Security and then the health care, right? Which is just employer share that you're paying into. But you should also keep in mind that there is overtime in this country. It is anything over 8 hours. I should say that. It should be 8 hours and 29 minutes, because an overtime hour counts after 30 minutes. So anything over 8 hours, though, is supposed to be overtime as long as it exceeds 30 minutes. And so you have to keep that in mind, that it's going to be 20% premium if you want to keep them for additional hours. 30% if it's a holiday, or if you're trying to work them 7 days a week, that 7th day, it's called a rest day that you're not giving them, that is going to be at 30% as well, regardless if it's a holiday or not. Another thing is meals. Meals are often included here, and so you have to come up with a staff meal. So if their shift starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, they're going to be coming in and saying, okay, feed me my breakfast. That happens. And so you're literally paying them to eat breakfast in the morning, and maybe you won't have any workers for the first hour. And then they're going to have another meal before they go home in those 8 hours. So they're going to get 2 meals. Not every employer does this. A lot of them will do is they'll say the minimum wage is $4.80. They take off 100 pesos for their meal. They say, okay, I'm paying you $3.80, but your 2 meals are included. That's another way they get around it. But for me, I didn't do any of that. We give them their 2 meals, different types of meals. We try to change them up, as well as we pay them over minimum wage here. You keep better people that way, and we want to keep people, when they're coming in here, feeling like customer service is number one, and they love their job and they can't wait to come to work every day. These are important things. Anyway, I don't want to make this video too long, but I just wanted to give you an idea that supply is going to be an issue. There are some hurdles you have to get through. Make sure you get a good lawyer, get a good accountant. Try to keep family and friends out of business. That's probably the most important thing, no matter where you go. And you have to work it. You can't just expect it to run by itself. You have to be always changing, marketing, promoting. You can't just expect to be, that doesn't matter where you open, right? Let's be honest. So you got to expect that you're going to have to always be improving, cleaning, upgrading, promoting all the time to be a successful person in business. We've only been at it for a month now, and the 23rd will be our first day of the from the grand soft opening. So, we're doing well. We have a good idea what our break-even level is every single day. And as long as we average that every month, we know we're not losing money. Right now, that is my most important thing because I plan to double the size and do a lot of things here. So I'm going to worry about not maximize the profit, but making sure that we have save for a rainy day, those kind of things. Once I've got everything much more baselined, because everything's going to change. So I can say what my break even is now, but once I double the size of this place, my break even is going to go up because I'm going to have more staff. Once I have another bar over facing the beach, it's going to change my staff, it's going to change my costing, my break even is going to change. But I hope by November I can give a firm break even and know exactly what I need to do every single day in order to be profitable. And for me, it's not a big profit center. That's not what I started this for. Can't wait until we do our reality show here. I love the ideas that were all coming out of even my staff here, and can't wait to implement them all. If you're relying on income, you're going to expect to work ridiculously crazy hours, and as a foreigner, you can't do any of the work. You can sit here and you can manage your investment. You can watch over your investment. That's better, right? But don't not have the right people in place. If somebody complains to immigration and they come in here and they see that you have very few staff to do everything, then it's obvious you're doing everything. But if they come in and somebody says that you're doing work and they come in and you're like, no, here's my manager of this, here's my bartender, here's my cook, here's my waitresses, you have somebody for every position, there is no argument, obviously, because you are not replacing a Filipino. That's the key. You can't be replacing somebody in this country, volunteer or not. You cannot do work. You can oversee your investment, and that's as far as you're allowed to go. So anyway, please put your questions down in the comments. I'll see if I can't answer them all. I'm sure I'm forgetting a million things, but so many people keep writing me, asking me, putting in the comments, those kind of things. So I'll give you guys just a little ballpark on everything. Yes, it was less than $20,000 for the purchasing of everything, signage and uniforms and hats and stock and just there's so many things that I'll add up. It was less than $20,000, doing the leasing and paying all the extra money you have to pay up front. Everything was in there. So we're doing very well considering what you could spend to open a business like this anywhere else in the world. It's actually, I think, closer to 17,000, just based on the math of US dollar. But we're doing very well here. I'm very happy how things have gone so far. And so if you have any questions, ask them down below. And I'll be happy to help out any way I can. In the meantime, I hope you come and visit us here at the Beaver and help us be even more of a success as we grow. Thank you, everybody. Cheers to all. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
And I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again.